welcome back. Where's my camera? Oh, there it is. Welcome back to the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
And I am always Todd.
Oh, God.
Good
You always make it so
That transition
creepy.
is so long in between lower
You
thirds.
always make it so creepy.
Because I'm watching the prompter and I'm like going, okay, it's got to let this thing, the thing has got to go in. It's got to say Matt, and then it's got to slowly go away. And then the other thing has to slide in and it says Todd. So I'm in the middle of talking when it's doing its thing.
Well, what
It's
about me?
so
Well,
damn-
I'm hitting a bunch of buttons and
See,
then
watch.
Finally,
Oh,
What?
there it is. And watch, 2 seconds later, 1, 2.
you're,
Oh, it didn't slide away.
Everybody's super intrigued by this shit right
I
now.
know, it's so dumb.
Anyway,
Sorry.
with us today is Junior. Junior's with us today. Junior, thanks for being here.
No problem.
It's been a while.
Been a long time.
Been a very long time. And if anybody wants to see the growing of a young man,
You
what?
probably want to drop that spot.
Drop what spot?
Oh,
Drop-
so you can see
drop
his
to-
neck, okay? Okay.
You
No,
want
you're
you
fine.
want to cover his Adam's apple?
No. Nope.
Very prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junior's in town. It's kind of nice. We've had a great time.
Junior's gonna move out of the. There we go. I don't know my key. You know what? I think I need just to get hardwire the keyboard over
You
there.
talked about that for a long time, so
Yeah.
I think
I keep talking about it.
you're the
but it's not
tech guy.
happening.
I think you're right.
Okay, so today is what? September
Second.
2nd. September 2nd, 2017.
It's too early.
It's too early. Well,
Not enough beer, just coffee.
I went to the farmer's market this morning.
Oh, you were serious? You actually went to the farmer's market
Yeah, I
already?
really went to the farmer's market this morning.
God, you guys get up early. I wanted to sleep longer and longer.
Found some really good stuff. So,
I heard there's a wire art a guy who does that wire art stuff. That
yeah,
I heard it's pretty good.
it's very good.
I
It's
work
very, very
with I work with I think either his wife or I know somebody who works with him, but the guy who does all that wire artwork. And I remember going, "Oh, that's so neat! I know somebody who does that as well."
good. Or used to meddled, tinkered.
You can still do it.
No, I sold my welder.
You did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, everybody's super loving this so far. Yeah. So, Junior, I wanted to ask Junior, like, what's the update with your status, Junior? Junior's in the Air Force. He is obviously, or not even obviously, because you can't see his face, but he is the child of Todd.
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna
Child
get a
of Todd.
T-shirt that says that. The child of Todd. That's sick.
It is kind of a cool,
Yeah, I want a hashtag. I
right?
want like a T-shirt that has a hashtag. It says hashtag child of Todd,
the child of Todd.
and I can get it for all my kids.
So Junior, what is the latest with you? Where are you at? What are you doing?
Nothing too crazy. So I found out recently, well, because I'm in the Air Force. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, the very first podcast, you were just getting
Joining.
ready to go into the Air Force.
hmm So, yeah, everything's been going good at that. I got 2 more years on my contract. Moving sections now from a clinic life to an inpatient ward, so that'll be interesting. 12-hour shifts, Panama schedule, stuff like that. It's going to be fun.
It's so cool to see your son grow up to be a man.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it gives me hope for my other children. I know that sounds. I don't mean it to sound desperate, but it makes me go, okay,
pretty
so
desperate.
I did it. I did it somewhat correctly for the first one. You know, I didn't make too many mistakes as a parent.
Sure.
He's a functional human being, and so it makes pretty much.
Semi, yeah.
and it makes me think that okay, so I always want to get better at being a parent, but it's like okay, so I got the basics down. I got one kid out in the world, turned out okay, so I think the other ones will be fine too. But you mean as a parent, you think about that stuff a lot. So
Yeah. Speaking of parental things, we're going to take a moment at the beginning, and if you don't want to have anything triggered inside you to be angry at or with or uncomfortable, if you're just like, I just don't want to be uncomfortable today, skip. Like, maybe you just need to skip ahead like 10 or 15 minutes. I don't even know how long we're going to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it very long. But I think for every parent, there's a time where you really war with this idea of, I want to teach my kids strength. And how do I teach my kids to deal with uncomfortable situations? And you kind of want to be the first person to kind of gently place them in an uncomfortable situation so that you can talk them through it and help them understand things. And I know this is very vague, but I'm going to get more specific here in a second. Now, Todd has helped me work my way through this, even though the situation happened, and then I talked to Todd later on, and you made me feel a little bit better, and you
How did I make you feel better?
You made me feel better in just in the sense that you're like, you know what? There are aspects of your parenting that I like.
Oh, good.
Which I thought maybe all of it was horrible.
Oh, no. Well, who am I to judge anyways?
That's true. Who are you to judge?
Right here. Thank you very much.
That's true. But so I'll just give you the situation.
Yeah, let's just drop it.
Here we go.
Drop the knowledge. Let's do it.
This is probably the first time I've really truly been uncomfortable to talk about a situation because not because of what I said, but because
it could be misrepresented.
Nope. It's the first time I've really had to go into a dark place with my kids because I know somewhere along the lines somebody's gonna try to put them honestly into this position. And it's just one of those things you're like, I never want my kid to have to deal with that. I never want my kid to have to see that or really deal with it. Here it is. Here's the deal. If you don't know, all my kids are adopted, and I have 3 beautiful black children. And I came home the other day. One of my kids is crying. He comes up, and I say, hey, bud, what's going on? He goes, my sister just called me a nigger. And shocked me. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know I'm a huge advocate on words. You have to think of the context of how the word is being used, and I've said the word nigger before on here, not because I'm racist, just because of what we were talking about, and I'm not afraid to use these words. But when that word was used in this context, I felt like this is the time where I need to actually have a moment, a teachable moment with my kid. And so obviously I brought my daughter up, who had called my son this, asked what the situation was, what's going on, why did you say this to him, got the whole story. And then I said, listen, you can say almost anything in this house, but when you use that word in that way, it's the ugliest thing I can hear. And I never want to hear it used in this context. You want to sing a rap song and that word's in it and you're all having fun? I don't care because that's the rap song, right? Who cares? But you never say that in a mean, demeaning way to anybody. It's horrible. So she understood. She went back downstairs to play, and then this was my moment. This was the thing that I hope that my son really remembers and kind of grows from. And I wanted your take on it, Todd, today. So I said to my son,
"Oh, I'm going to give it to you."
Oh, you're going to give it. So I just said to my son, I go, "Now listen, bud. Are you a nigger?" And he looked at me like he didn't understand maybe what I was. He didn't understand. He didn't know if it was like a trick question. What am I trying to say? You know, because I mess with my kids a lot, but I was very serious, and I said that to him, and he said no, and I go, "That's right. You're not. You're not stupid. You're not any horrible thing that somebody could say to you. You know who you are, and if you're not that, you can't let anybody make you feel like that. So if anybody in the future says this to you and they're trying to make you feel horrible, you don't have to let it wreck you. You don't have to let it wreck your day because you know who you are, and you are not that." He's like, "Okay, Dad." Now, my kids are still pretty young, so it just really made me uncomfortable to even have that situation happen. But I really hope that makes sense to them. And I wonder, for parents out there, how many situations, or do you have similar situations that you're like, oh my God, this feels really uncomfortable, but I'm going to have to talk to them about this? What do you think, Todd? What's your point?
Yeah, I think that's really hard. because I mean, you are still processing it yourself. You're trying to figure out what's going on inside their heads. You're trying to get them to stand up for themselves. You're also trying to make sure people don't use that word around or to them. You know, you're trying to mitigate so many things. You know, and it could have been devastating, you know, for your son that he got called this, and you were talking to him about him sticking up for himself and things like that.
Right.
But he was like, oh, okay. So what really you thought was a really big deal and was going to be really hard ended up not being quite so bad as you thought. And I think that that's what we do. We plan for the best, and we hope, you know, we plan for the worst and we hope for the best when it comes to parenting our kids. And I think doing both sides of that is what matters. You know, hey, stop being a pussy and stick up for yourself and stand up for what you believe in, and don't allow somebody else.
A lot of people are really uncomfortable right now when you said, stop being a pussy. No, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay,
but I think it's fine.
And, you know, you're wanting to empower your kids. Right? That's the idea, is empowering your kids. So I think that allowing them to see both sides and say, hey, don't be like this. And then also understand this word and don't let it bother you. It's hard to get that across because we do use words, and kids use words as, you know, a hurtful thing sometimes. But I mean, the same thing I said with my son. When he was getting,
which one?
When he used to have long hair.
Oh, yeah.
And when he was getting bullied, I said to him, hey, listen, I will take care of this. I'll talk to the administration of your school. We'll see what we can figure out. But also, how did it feel to sit there and cry at that table when somebody was making fun of you? Yeah. He said it felt terrible. And I said, okay, so what are you going to do to make sure that you don't feel terrible anymore? What are you going to do for yourself? Either you learn to take it and you're just like, oh, what if they say it doesn't matter to me, fuck them. Or you say to them, leave me the fuck alone, or we're going to have a serious trouble, and you confront them. Because very often bullies, once you confront them, shut the fuck up. So it's good to give them both sides. And I think, you know, this is very different than what my dad would say. This is very different than my grandfather would say. You know, our friendship has allowed me to see another side of things, and and also not see everything as good and bad, but see things in the context like you've been talking about, saying, I think it's okay once in a while to say, hey, come on, give me a break. You know, your brother touching you didn't make you go, ah, and, you know, dent your body somehow. He's just touching you. Relax. You got to, you know, grow up a little bit kind of thing. So I think that's okay. And some people who know who I am would be surprised by that. But I think it helps develop a more understanding, well-rounded person.
Yeah. And
again, both sides of the conflict.
Right. And I think that when it comes from when somebody who is loving can place you into a structured, uncomfortable situation, you can learn to adapt to it, right? It's like my wife. When I first met my wife, we went to her family's side, you know, and we'd hang out for the weekend or whatever, and she would just destroy her nieces. She would just give them such a hard time, and her nephews such a hard time, and I thought, and they could just quickly and easily just throw back a funny comment, right? And I thought, anybody who tries to pull some bullshit on these kids, they're going to get destroyed. Yeah. Any bully that tries to pull some bullshit on any of these 5 kids, they're going to be so well rehearsed because of Aunt Kath. Yeah. That they're just going to destroy any bully. It's just not even going to be fair or funny, you know?
It's probably not even going to bother them. They're probably like, well, how stupid.
Right, and it shouldn't bother them, right? Yeah. Junior, what do you think about this? Because you grew up, when you were growing up, it was the beginning of let's give a medal to everybody. Sure, yeah. Right? But in your short lifetime, have you seen a very different transition in how kids are being raised, or how do you think about the whole culture right now with safe space and all that stuff?
For me personally, I believe that it's the right idea with the wrong direction. So what we should really teach kids, I think that protecting kids is an important thing. I think protecting everyone it's important. Everyone should be safe and feel good. Right. But instead of sheltering them, which I think makes them weaker, right, I think we should make them stronger by saying, hey, look at these words, like that word in particular, right?
It makes you even uncomfortable.
It's got huge connotations, right? It's got all these things that are tied to it. But it has only the amount of power that we give to it, just like any other word. Right. So if you say that word doesn't mean anything to me, and it doesn't affect me, then it doesn't affect you. It's all about your own reality and your perspective on those things, like those words and whatnot. And the only reason I get uncomfortable or I'd feel affected by it is because I know friends of mine who would be bothered by it.
Sure.
And so that's what makes me uncomfortable is, when you love someone else, that hurts you when you hear something that would hurt them.
Right.
You kind of apply what their feelings to yourself. It's empathy. But I think it's just kind of silly. I don't think everyone deserves a medal. I think everyone deserves to be recognized for effort that they put in.
Sure.
I know that I remember when I was in wrestling. So wrestling was really I did grow up in that kind of you get a medal no matter what kind of sport, right? Or in that era. But wrestling was very different. In wrestling, you win or you lose.
Right.
And that's just
very
bull
black
crap.
and white.
Yeah.
You're either gonna walk off very happy, or you're gonna walk off
Defeated.
ready to
Yeah,
cry.
completely destroyed.
Right.
Yeah. But there was one time where I lost. I remember I got pinned, but we had fought for a long time. It was like the third round, I think, and we were really going at it, and we were both exhausted. He just happened to pin me down, and I got off. And my coach, I remember it was like 3 matches before that, like all 3 matches before that, my coach had said, "You could do this better. You could do that better. You sucked out there. Get back in there, and go burn off some weight or whatever."
Right.
And then this time, when I fought my hardest, because I really wanted to, please him or whatever, I got off and I lost, and I was just ready for him to just rip me a new one again, just all over again. I was ready for it. And I got off, he's like, "Hey, you tried your best. Good job. Go burn off some weight," or whatever. But it meant so much more because I had been told I wasn't as good, or I had told I needed to try harder. And then when I finally did try harder and he knew that and he could see it, that's when I got my praise. So you have to learn to earn it.
Right. And it wasn't praise like,
You're
"Oh
the
my God,
best."
Junior. Oh my God, it took until the well, I don't know why I'm doing like it.
I'm not sure why your voice has changed. I don't think his coach is gay.
All right, man.
That's much better.
You're so great. You're so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if and my coach was never, and none of my wrestling coaches were ever like that. But I do remember my senior year wrestling coach being so hardcore and angry all the time, it seemed like.
Mhm.
I'm sure to him, he probably didn't think that he
He's
seemed
normal.
angry, and to a lot of other people, but he was so fucking intimidating to me that when he gave you just a tiny little...
Morsel.
Yeah. So basically, if he didn't yell at me, I thought, "Oh my God, I did fucking great. Oh my God, I did great. Did you hear that? He didn't slap me." It's like, it's one of those things. And if you get praise all the time,
You don't appreciate
it doesn't, you don't appreciate it. It's kind of like when people swear all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't have that
When they keep,
bite.
they're really mad. And they're like, "Hey, fucker." Like, yeah, you say fuck. You just said fuck like 20 times.
in that last sentence. So it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
so who cares? But I have an older lady. She's beautiful. Patty cake. You'll never watch this, though. But she never swears. But but when she does
It hits
say some type of adult language word, everyone stops.
Yeah.
And everyone pays attention. And everybody's like, she might have a really good point because she swore.
We should give that
But-
a listen.
Yeah, but everybody else who swears on the regular, it's just all the volume is brought down on whatever they're saying.
Yeah, that's true.
There is no point that is important anymore when they're talking like that.
And we brought this up before because Nick Rosine, who we've had in the podcast and who's coached for CrossFit that I used to go to, I always appreciate when he said something nice to me, I knew that I had earned that comment. Otherwise, he doesn't fucking talk to you about stuff.
Right.
He's not going to come over and go, "Hey, that was a good job on that," when you haven't done a good job. And I talked to him about, being good at snatches, being good at, clean and jerks, stuff like that. And he would just say, "Hey, you got to do this, got to do this. And once you hit it, you'll be happy." And I remember getting like a comment from him going, "Hey, that was a really good pull on that." And I was like, "Oh shit, finally I'm getting it." Cause I know he's not going to say a dick to me unless I'm getting it. So yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. And I think that when you have the false praise or the praise that doesn't matter so much, it does make you weaker as a person. It makes you think that everybody's going to be nice to you all the time. And fucking people aren't nice to you most of the time. You have to find the nice people to be with. You have to recognize the good and the bad. And if you're always looking for people to give you praise, man, you're going to be fucking disappointed all the time, first of all. And second of all, it's not realistic to the world you're going to walk into. People are assholes out in the real world sometimes. And you have to be able to handle yourself and be like, "Oh, that's what that guy's like," and "Oh, that's what she's like," and "Oh, I want to hang out with this guy because he's a pretty decent person to hang out with. I'm not going to hang out with that guy. He's fun to hang out with. He's a nice guy, but he can be an asshole sometimes. So I'm going to avoid him from time to time."
Yeah. And when you said, people are assholes out in the world, it took me back to what we were talking about yesterday, where I feel like everybody sees the world in a different shade, a different color, right? And there's a lot of people that maybe I see the world in a shade of blue, and there's a lot of other people that kind of follow 85% of what I believe they believe, and so they see the world similarly. But then you might have a friend who acts and reacts in a way that startles you, and you're like, I'm never going to fucking understand why this is a big deal to you.
Yeah.
I'm never going to understand why you get so worked up about this, why you internalize and personalize that. I don't have any idea why you're holding the grudge for 3 weeks, you know?
Right.
Because I just don't see the world like that. and to put my expectations of, you know, treat others how you would like to be treated, that's a nice saying, but we're all so different that if I treated Junior the way I want to be treated, Junior might be like, damn, this kind of sucks. I don't like to be treated this way. Yeah, you know? So so when you say there's a bunch of assholes out there, there's just, if you don't have a lot of experience or awareness or exposure to different people, and you don't have some type of structured training to understand that we're all different, and you have to be a strong person to not take everything so fucking personally, right? If you don't have that, you're going to walk around this world on eggshells. Personal. Right. Yeah, exactly. Because the world is a complex place with a billion different variables, and you're going to constantly come home from work frustrated, depressed, angry. Why am I not a rock star? I was told I could be anything I want when I was a kid. I wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
Well, you didn't practice. So how bad did you want it? Or you're not going to be that.
And
your voice actually really sucks. So you're never going to be a rock star.
Well, and what's hard too is I think people still want things to be like that, but I think some adults think they want to, you know, make this perfectly padded little world for their kid.
Yeah.
And that's not going to help them. It's not going to benefit them. Like you said, it's them having the hard times and you walking through them through that so they can learn to be better adults. I mean, that's kind of what it's about.
Right.
And I think that the more we like you said in the past, like bubble wrap things for our kids, it's hard. And it's extremely painful as a parent. I mean, it's really painful.
It's really.
I mean, Junior has talked in the past about somebody made a comment to him in the weight room one time. And when he told me about it, I know that I had the same physical reaction that he had from it. I was sick to my stomach. It pierced my heart. I was like, this. And I immediately want to protect him.
Yeah.
But I had to sit back and I had to try. I mean, try is probably the optimal word of saying, hey, that sounds horrible. I know it made you feel horrible. This does not have to define you, you know, but I'm not trying to take away the pain. But this is what can happen sometimes. And you don't know what they were saying or the context it was in. You heard it hurt, and then how are you going to deal with that because you don't know all the pieces to it. But we've talked about that since then because that was a pivotal moment for him to be hurt like that, and then all of a sudden try to cope.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you know, you want to hold him and coddle and say, "Hey, I know it's mean. Why'd they do that? Blah blah blah." But I was just like, he was in high school, and I was like, what would be best for him? He knows I love him and care about him. I should probably just say, "Hey, sorry, man, that sucks. Sorry you went through that," and help him process through it. Because at that point, I thought that was the best tack to take, even though it was still hurting from it. Then I was also kind of going, am I being an asshole? Should I be nicer?
Right.
What should I be doing on his behalf to make him feel better? So you're always going through those things in your head as a parent. But this idea of pussifying your kids, I'm just going to say it like that. I know it sounds shitty, but it's just the idea of just making everything rosy for your kids, you know? To have your kids say to you...
What are they called? Bulldozer parents now? Like, there used to be helicopter parents where you would just hover around your kid all the time,
perfect.
right? So they're perfect. And now there's the bulldozer parents that clear obstacles away from them so that they just prance through life, you know?
Well,
I heard parents say, well, he better not get an A. He better get an A, or I'm going to be in there talking to that teacher. Didn't say one fucking word about our kid. It was like,
better get an A, or maybe you should study harder, or maybe you should. He better get an A, or else I'm going to have to spend more time with my kid.
There you go. Yeah,
I bet
right away.
I bet those teachers never hear that.
I bet you they don't.
Probably not.
But it's just crazy because, yeah, I mean, and you're not helping out your kid.
Right.
And I mean, I know somebody whose wife has a side business. She is a business coach kind of thing. I don't know what she does, but her main job right now is she goes into corporations and helps millennials communicate with people who are older than them.
The Gen Xers.
Because they can't fucking talk. These guys can't talk. They expect everything to be done for them, and they expect everybody to get along with them.
Roger is being such a dick to me
Now,
because he was expecting the report to be done on Friday, and it's last Friday, and it's Wednesday, and I don't understand why he's so angry. Roger.
now,
Junior.
But this lady says that. This lady says that she has to help them talk to each other.
Now, as
It's
a
like,
member,
what the hell?
as a member of the younger generation, you have to remember too that
Do
that's
you have
not,
do you know what Roger? Do you have a Roger in your life?
well, that's not one-sided. I'm sure that it's honestly probably harder for the older generations to communicate with the younger ones as well. And I heard a lot of you guys complain about
side.
talking like, well, I heard Miles or like one of your other sons.
You can say it. You can say it. Yeah,
say
that's
it.
fine. Yeah.
He used the word meme yesterday, and you're like, "What's a meme?"
No, he said Mimi, and I go, "You mean a meme?"
No,
Because I know what a
he
meme
said
is.
meme, and you didn't know what you didn't. I don't know if you just weren't thinking about it at the time, but you didn't know what it was. And you can imagine someone who's 60 years old working in a strong, been in the workforce for a long time, and you got these younger kids coming in, very technologically advanced, know everything about everything, right? And they're using all this different lingo, and it's got to be frustrating for that person to have to come in and be like, "Oh shit! Like everything just changed." All
Hey
this
Roger,
different lingo.
that kid just said YOLO to me. Do you know what is he talking
That little
about? What's-
motherfucker called said YOLO.
He called me a YOLO. What the hell? I think he means.
I had some bitch walk up to me and went, "Swipe left. I don't accept you." Swipe left.
Really?
On you?
Yeah. Should I always be a swipe right? Should I just always be a swipe right, Junior?
Yes.
I like the way you think.
You're welcome.
I should always be a swipe right.
But that was what it was. It was like a Tinder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
Well-
even I get that.
You do because you looked at me like, "What?"
No, I'm just saying. I just think it's weird to walk up to somebody and go, "Oh, swipe." And I was like, "I don't. You can't talk.
kinda,
Use your
it's
words."
it's kind of like don't throw shade.
Right.
I think it's one of those little things that's gonna blurp for a second. Like
It is
just
funny
like don't throw shade.
being old enough to see how some of the fads change.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day about like fidget spinners. And they're already gone. They're already gone. Schools are already banning them. They're just such a fucking nuisance. They're terrible.
Yeah, I don't know
So-
who came up with those fucking things. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And what was weird though is I think the reason why it really took hold is people or parents who have kids who have attention issues. Somebody goes, "Hey, here's this little magic thing that'll help your kids with their attention issues." And if you give kids with attention issues these little things, all they do is go, oh God, and they just want to fucking play with them. They don't sit like an adult and like listen to somebody present something and spin it underneath the table.
Spin. Yes, teacher. What was that? 2 + 4? 6. Bitch. I got it. Why? Because I'm spinning. Attention.
Or the kid behind you goes, "Hey, can I see that?" "Yeah, sure." And then it's just fucking
It's a
chaos.
huge
Yeah,
distraction.
it's ridiculous. I hate stuff like that.
Smartphones. Those are huge helpers with ADD.
I went to parent night. I went to parent night for all my kids, and I'm telling you, they were all about. They're like the teachers were at one point trying to embrace cell phones, and some still do.
Yeah.
You are allowed to have it on your person.
Mhm.
It cannot be out. It cannot be on your body, or they will confiscate it. And so I like that. Unless a teacher says, "Hey, we're going to do this activity. Pull out your phone. I have this app." Then they can use it, and they try to do that. So there's some blended learning, I guess, and, because technology is everything. But I like the idea that they're still saying that, listen, we still have to sit and pay attention. We all have to do that. I mean, I do that all the time as an adult. So you have to have those skills. You can't be like, "Well, hey, I know we have 2 minutes of downtime. You better put your fucking phone in your face."
Right. Yeah.
So
It's not just kids that are having problems. It's not just students with cell phones. It's businesses. The other job that I have, they've been struggling with cell phones and smartphones for a few years now because people get so distracted with them. The new phrase, the new very common phrase that is said all the time in corporations is, "Well, the perception Matt, the perception is
Laziness.
that maybe you're not paying attention to other things. Well, all right, I get it. No problem. Okay, so what are you going to do about the problem? Well, what I think we should do is tell the supervisors that you can only have your smartphones out if it's an emergency, or if you're just going to do a quick response to a text message, or you gotta send a message really quick to somebody. But you can't be on it for more than 45 seconds.
45 seconds. Wow.
And I thought and I said this to him, you just made it impossible for anybody to manage that. Because if I were to stand here and stare at you, Junior, and when you picked up your phone, I start my little stopwatch. Hey, dude, come on, you know better. Let's get that put away, because the perception is you're not fucking paying attention to your job. It's not a perception. It is the real deal. If you're on your goddamn cell phone, you are not paying attention to your job. Period.
Right.
And they go, well, Matt, what would you have us do? If you're in this area where people can view you and you actually have shit to do, you don't have your fucking cell phone out. Imagine that you're in a meeting. This is so fucking easy and elementary. I can't understand how anybody can't figure this out. But if you're at work, pretend you're in a meeting. Your cell phone goes off. What the fuck are you supposed to do?
Ignore it.
Okay, that's a response. How about you, Junior?
If I was in a meeting?
If you're in a meeting, your cell phone goes off, it's an emergency, what do?
It's an emergency call?
Yeah.
Okay, then I just grab my phone and say, hey, sorry, it's an emergency, and step out of the room and come back in whenever the call was finished.
Thank you for acting like an adult. You wouldn't stay there and have a fucking conversation with 20 people around you. You would not be on your phone playing a fucking game.
Does that actually happen? Have you guys had that happen before? People answer phones in meetings?
Yeah, for sure. People are walking through a grocery store. No, I totally believe that Tina's a whore. I totally do. Of course, that's a made-up bullshit story. But people do have these really loud conversations, and it really fucks me up when they have those little Bluetooth earphones and I don't see it, and I just think they're schizophrenic. And I'm like, who the fuck is he talking to?
Or they're right next to you, and then they're talking like this, and then you're,
no, seriously, man, how's it going? I'm like, fine, I'm doing good. Oh, no, you fuck. Now I feel like
and then they look at you like, why do you talk to me?
Why are you talking to me?
They do the point. They go,
But I was like, it's very simple. Go ahead and have your cell phone on you. If you get a text or if you walk out of the room, get some privacy and check it, and then put it the fuck away and come back in.
If it's that important.
If it's that important.
If it's just a text or somebody calling you to say, hey, you need to put the garbage out this morning.
Right.
It's like, can wait till after the meeting.
Yeah.
Right. But there were a handful of super douches who were like, hey, when we didn't have cell phones, you guys were getting phone calls all the time because loved ones were trying to get a hold of us because there's an emergency. Listen, the only reason you're freaking out right now is because you fucking play your game. You're playing your fucking game, and you're all you're doing is this. Like, you can try to have a conversation, and some douche is doing this.
Yeah.
They're just staring at you, tapping their phone.
Really? What fucking game is that?
I don't know, because I don't play that fucking game. But for those of you who know me, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, those are the people that were like, hey, man, you can't just take away cell phones because in case your family needs to get a hold of you for an emergency. No, you're freaking out because you want to play your game in full view, and you don't want to be put out by leaving the room and having
and
some.
What's in the worst case scenario? You have a job that you're working for somebody, and if they say, hey, listen.
That really is worst case scenario. I'm working for somebody. When you are supposed to be, I mean, you could even you could be smart about it. Instead of bitching about it, say, okay, I know when I'm at A, B, C, and D location, I can pull my phone out and nobody's going to know the fucking difference. And you can just play it cool instead of being like, hey, don't take away my rights. I have my addictive thing that I like, and you can't take it away from me. Oh, my God, a Democrat's in presidency. Oh, my, they're going to take my phone, my car, Jesus Christ, my firearms, my guns.
Right.
It's people freaking out and going to absolute worst case scenario, right?
Right.
All right. One last example of parenting. Now, when you guys hear this, when you're hearing this and you see this stuff on YouTube or on Facebook, go ahead and leave a comment. If you think I did a fucked up job by doing this thing and you want to leave a comment of how I could have done it better, I'm totally willing to read it and be a better parent. Or if you have a story of your own that you'd like to share and help us all kind of laugh and giggle and or cry about things we all share, feel free to do that too. One last thing, though. One last story. So I'm at my other job, and I get a phone call. And I told you about this yesterday, but Junior, this is your first time hearing it. I get a phone call from one of my kids. Dad. Hello? Hello? Dude, you called me. What do you need to say? Is there something you need to say? Just a second. Oh, my God. Dude, breathe.
Oh.
Just breathe. Because you called me. I need you to... Todd. Hold on. I'm sorry about that, everybody. I'm screaming in the microphone. Fuck Todd. Anyway. I'm like, you called me, bud. Take some deep breaths. Relax. It sounds like you're emotional right now.
Chill.
But I'm at work. So
What's up?
let's get to the point here. TikTok, mister.
Time is money.
Yeah. Perception, man. Perception. I don't want to have to. I'm going to have to step out of this fucking room here in a second. He goes, Malik, get me. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. So my other son hit him, right?
Yeah.
Bitch slapped him.
Ooh.
Now I said, well, what is the story? Because I guarantee you,
It wasn't just out of nowhere.
your brother didn't just walk up and slap you. He goes, so he can't talk. He gives the phone to his brother who slapped him. Because I said, I want to talk to your brother. So I'm talking to my other son. I go, dude, I want you to be calm. And I want to ask this one time. I don't want to have to ask you 30 times what the story is. Because if that's what's going to happen, my reaction is going to be way worse.
Mhm.
So just tell me from the get-go, from the beginning, what happened. Now my second son was super chill. He just goes, well, Dad.
Let me tell you.
Well, Dad, let me tell you. I was messing with Reese. And he told me to stop. And I didn't. And so he jumped up and he slapped me. I said, okay. I go, so what'd you do? He goes, well, I slapped him back in the face just as hard as he slapped me. And now he's crying and he's in the bathroom. I said, all right. But I go, right now, I want you to go downstairs, chill out downstairs. You know, my basement's finished. Okay, it's a nice, comfortable place. I'm not sending my kid to the dungeon. All right, there's
With
an
the
Xbox.
cobwebs.
Yeah, with the there's an Xbox. He can have a good time. All right, I just wanted them separate. So I said, until I get home, you're downstairs, your brother is upstairs.
Mhm.
Don't interact.
Separate. And
Cool.
conquer.
Chill down. Chill out. Right. So I get home, and my wife had been home by now. She'd been home for about an hour, and I get home, and I did some boxing, and I like to do boxing workouts. So I have gloves, and I have wraps, and I have these hand weights and stuff, and I have the mitts. So I come home, and in the front yard is my youngest, who called me crying, and he's got the hand weights on his hands. And he's throwing punches, and his buddy, the neighborhood kid, is holding up the mitts. He's going to town hitting the mitts, right? I go, what are you doing? He goes, Malik and I are gonna fight. I go, really? He goes, yep, we decided we're gonna put on the gloves and the headgear, and we're gonna fight, Dad, as soon as you get home. I said, well, thank you for waiting until I got home.
For this battle royale.
For this battle royale. Because what I try to impress upon my kids, whether it's wrestling with each other or some type of boxing type thing, wait till I'm there so that I can at least walk
Mitigate.
around you and stop the action
Yeah.
if it needs to.
Stop a
be
head from
stopped.
flying into a corner of something.
Right. So my son, who finished the fight earlier, was super cocky. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Let's box it out.
Let's box it out. And my son, who called me crying, had been practicing. He had been hitting the mitts, right? And he's much smaller. He's much shorter and smaller than Malik.
He's got the fire.
But he's got the fire rock. So I go, all right, let's go downstairs. Now there's their sister and 2 neighborhood buddies who are like, oh yeah. Oh,
Watching this Fight Club.
I can't wait to watch this. Yeah, this is They were actually saying this is Mayweather and McGregor. We can't wait to watch the McGregor Mayweather fight. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, it's not that big a deal. But I said to my son, who I knew was going to end up crying, the older one, the bigger one, I said, listen, are you sure you want your friends here? He goes, yeah, I don't care. Because he's thinking from earlier.
Got it.
He's thinking from earlier, I caught him with a bitch slap, and I made him cry, and he went down. I got this, right? I'm thinking, you don't got this. You do not have this shit. Are you sure? I'll give you another chance.
One more.
Are you sure that you want your friends and your sister down here? Yep, I don't care. I'm like, all right, fine. Then I don't want to.
Well, let's do it.
Yeah, this is your choice. Deal with the consequences, right? So we go downstairs. They put their headgear on. They put the gloves on. I get everything set up. I go, now listen, there's 1 round, and whoever says, that's it, enough, I will stop it, and then that's it. And no more. Are you good with that? They're both like, yeah. Reese, the little one's like, I'm going to fucking kill him. I can just see it in his eyes. The older one, Malik, is just thinking, I took you out earlier. I'm way bigger.
Good.
And he's twice the size.
He's a good full head taller.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right. And I go, and I don't want to hear a word from the peanut gallery. You 3, you just sit here because there's a lesson to be learned. Just be ready.
Watch.
Fight. And so they came together, and the shorter one just unloaded like lightning. Now, Malik, he did fine. He did fine. We said no headshots, absolutely no headshots, but we wanted to wear the headgear just in case something flew out. You know, accidents happen. But you could tell that Reese was out for blood, and Malik was like, I want to keep you away from me. So he's like pushing him away with the gloves. He's not really like, I mean, there were some decent hits, but they're 11.
Yeah.
Right? There's probably some people listening going, oh my God! You had 11-year-olds fighting!
You monster.
A gladiator.
You are a monster.
Are you turning into an old Jewish guy?
It was an old Jewish woman.
Oh.
I like to do old Jewish women voices. That's my favorite voice, actually, to do besides an Irish pirate. So Reese ended up losing a little bit of control from his precision, and he clipped him right on the chin. Boink. Malik went down, crying.
In a heap.
And I go, now listen, get the fuck up. Or are you done? Are you done, or you need to get up? Make a decision. He goes, I'm done. I go, that's it. Take your gloves off. Take your gloves off. He was about ready to freak out. I go, no. Take a deep breath. Relax. Go upstairs. Lay down. Chill out. Don't do anything. Don't go outside. Don't get on your bike. Just go relax.
Yeah.
And I want you to understand, sometimes you're not going to win the fight. And you have to understand that when you say, oh, yeah, no, I'll fucking fight you.
Mm-hmm.
You could have every confidence in the world, but everything changes when you get fucking clipped in the face.
Right.
And then you don't know how you're going to handle it. So that's why I asked you if you wanted your friends down here, because I guaranteed you at the beginning that someone was going to leave here crying. And that's you. So he went upstairs, and I go, so what'd you 3 learn? They go, don't mess with Reese. I said, true, very true. Good point. You're absolutely right. And Reese is like, yeah, I got this. You know, he's kind of feeling cocky. And I go, but if you're at school, what should you have done? I go, Reese, what should you have done? Did I ever teach you that when somebody's messing with you, that you stand up and you slap them in the face? Because what happened when you slapped somebody in the face? He turned around and slapped you in the face, and did that solve anything? No. It didn't solve shit.
Just hurt each other.
Yeah, and you walked away crying, right? He goes, right. Because my son has a 80-year-old smoker voice.
He does.
He does.
It's kind of cool.
And I said, I've always said, if somebody is hurting you and they won't stop hurting you, grab them, like in jiu-jitsu, like we've practiced, and just hold him so they can't hurt you. And eventually, somebody's going to come, or your friends are going to go get a teacher or something, and then they're going to separate you. But at least you're not getting hurt. And you haven't thrown any punches. So you're not hurting anybody,
You're not to
right?
blame.
That's what I've said. So don't slap people. And you three, you understand what I'm saying to the other kids? They're like, yeah. I go, because you think you're all tough. What did we just learn? Somebody's going to be walking away crying like a bitch. Do you want to be crying, walking away like a little bitch? They're like, no. I go, okay, so don't do that. Don't do that.
And it's funny.
What do you think, Todd?
You don't, and it doesn't sound outrageous to me because I know that my dad bought my brother and I boxing gloves because he was trying to mitigate, like you just said, trying to mitigate the abuse that we put on each other.
Sure.
And so he was like, okay, I can't have them punching each other anymore.
Not straight.
I've got to get something. And so he taught us in his own special way that Grandpa could do about, how to defend yourself and how to jab and stuff like that. No headshots, But my dad is very competitive. And so when he did this, we all started boxing on the regular in our own, especially a little retarded kind of way. And so he would do it, and he was a much bigger. I mean, I think I was I was in 8th grade, and he would box with us, and he hit so hard that you learned how to defend your kidneys and stuff like that because he was messing with you. And trying to show you how to do it, and that can still hurt, so you still got to be careful. And so when my brother and I got really heated, he'd be like, do not start fighting unless you have those gloves on. And we would use those gloves. Because even though my dad is a very kind, pacifist kind of fella, he definitely has that inside of him to get upset and angry. I remember one time walking by him after a football game, and I had gotten hit really hard. I had a good catch, got hit really hard, and I was really disappointed I didn't score a touchdown. And I walked in the house, and he goes, hey, nice try. Good job tonight. You had a good game. I'm sorry you dropped that pass. And I was pissed, and so I kind of brushed by him and kind of bumped him.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued down the hallway, and I heard a noise, and I turned around, and he was running at me, and he hit me with both hands in my chest up against the wall and said, don't you ever touch me like that again. Because I purposely kind of like bumped him, like, leave me the fuck alone kind of thing.
Get out of my way.
And kind, gentle, lovely little grandpa put me in my place.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What do you think about that, Junior?
And he didn't swear. He didn't get pissed. He was just saying, hey, listen, I have my limitations too.
Yeah.
And you're a punk little, teenager.
Right. I'm the alpha male.
Check yourself.
I'm the alpha male. Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of alpha, now that's it for the
The parental part of the podcast.
Parental, yeah. So we'll get into some of the other things that we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about some flooding issues, some silliness.
Junior might be heading to Houston, right? Is that still a possibility?
Possible, yeah.
Really?
For flood relief.
Flood relief. Okay, cool, man. But first, one of the things I wanted to show was just okay. And again, if you had some comments about parenting and your own stories, go ahead and leave that on YouTube or Facebook when we post that. But here, I want you guys to check this out. This is something that we forget about. We forget that shit's happening in other places than just the United States, right? So in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, we think about Texas, and yeah, Texas is dealing with some shit right now. And we've dealt with flooding here in Cedar Rapids, and it really devastated the area.
Yeah.
And we've come back from that really well.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're looking at or dealing with flooding, if you've never been through a flood, I don't think
you have any idea what it's like.
Yeah, you just really don't have any fucking clue. Man, my mouse just really sucks today too. I'm trying to minimize this there. But yeah, you really have no idea the impact, because it's not just an immediate thing like, oh, my house is affected. I have to redo. I have to put time and energy into the cleanup, because there's so much of your material goods are destroyed.
Right.
And when I say material goods, I mean like couches, beds, your
Drywall.
drywall. I mean, things for your
anything,
clothing.
anything
everything.
that can get wet and moldy is fucked.
Right. So, there's that immediate reaction of how things suck.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
You trying to move yourself so that you're?
No, I'm just looking at my hair. It's funny.
Oh.
Sorry, it's stupid. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. That was dumb.
All right. But there is the long-term effect. Now, in Texas, has there been any deaths that you know of?
I'm sure I haven't heard anything about deaths in Texas. I'm positive that somebody probably has passed away, unfortunately, from the flooding down there. Whether it's having not had the ability to get somewhere they needed help at, that kind of thing. I don't think. Like the Indonesia stuff, I mean, a lot of people have died.
There has been 1,200 people known to have died so far, while over 40 million have been displaced. 40 million people have been displaced from where they're living because of the monsoon that is happening.
So what you want to think about is think about New York City being displaced. Because New York City has 30 million in it. So think of just like New York City being the entire city of New York, the entire Manhattan Island being displaced.
Right.
That is what's taking place. That's crazy. I mean, that's hard to fathom.
Yeah, for sure. But besides the short term, like the immediate harshness of a flood, because as a single person, a flood happens and you're like, okay, how's my stuff doing? How am I going to get by? Okay, I can manage this. But then start putting yourself in other people's shoes. A mom who has 6 kids. The stress that I would be going under personally as a single person. How am I going to get water? Where am I going to get my food? Shelter. Okay, I think I got that. Now you throw in kids and your stress level through the roof, exponential increase of trying to take care of my family, trying to get them food, trying to get them water, trying to get them shelter, trying to entertain them. The stress, on a regular daily basis, my kids stress me out.
Right.
But to have everything ruined.
And then not know where you're going to sleep that night, or where you're going to get food, and everything's and you're standing in water. It's like,
and that's the immediate issues, right? The long-term issues, and let's go back to India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. They say 30 quadrillion liters of water have fallen on Bangladesh alone.
Whoa.
Right? Over 1 million acres of farmland have been washed away. Have been devastated. 1 million acres.
And how many people could 1 million acres feed? Because Indonesia is fucking packed with people too.
Right.
There's been 5 to 10 deaths in Houston at this point.
Okay.
Or related to issues with Houston, and then so that's not trying to belittle anybody dying down there, but we got 1,200 already in Bangladesh.
Well, the scary thing is also the famine that's probably going to take place afterwards.
Exactly. The long term is the famine and what's going to happen, or how people are not going to be getting food, right?
Plus, the countries don't tend to have the logistics to, while Houston, if people in Houston, we could help them if we needed to. We are helping them currently.
Right.
Somewhere like that, I mean, hopefully the governments have the logistical abilities to get food down there. But if the whole country's wiped out as far as food goes.
Well, and I imagine they probably have contingency plans for monsoons in these areas because they do hit there. But I don't think you have contingency plans for quadrillions of liters of water and 1,200 deaths and 1 million acres of farmland.
Well,
That's
insane. What? I think people can try to mitigate the destruction. Like when we had floods here in Cedar Rapids, we sandbagged around buildings and stuff like that, and we had
I did that. I was part of that.
HESCO barriers. We had HESCO barriers put in place, but you try to mitigate it. But when there's so much water, there's just nothing you can fucking do.
Yeah.
It's just you just are dealing with it. And there was a photo of some elderly ladies in wheelchairs down in Texas who are sitting with in wheelchairs, chest high water, and they're knitting because they were stuck. Nobody could come get them, and they're like, "Fuck, we gotta do something." So here's a room full of older people knitting.
That's fucking crazy.
Or you see like pictures of cattle, and their noses are like right at water level.
And they can still breathe.
What the fuck are they gonna do? The water goes up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They're dead. Texas has more than just flooding to worry about. Like we were talking about the initial issue with the flooding.
Mhm.
Well, now let's see if we have the picture for this, number 5 here. Rex Tillerson, our politicians are deciding on whether or not to receive aid, right, from Mexico. And that's what this story is right here. So, Junior, if you are a family, if you have a family that you're dealing with, you have kids that you're trying to decide, oh my God, where am I going to get money? Where am I going to get food? Where am I going to get shelter? How am I going to deal with this stuff? How am I going to rebuild? Right?
Mhm.
Would you be a little pissed off if there was a country offering aid to you and some super douche is like, we'll consider it. We'll see. We'll see if that's really a road that we want to go down. Because, let's see, he actually says the State Department had had confirmed the aid offer late Tuesday and said FEMA would determine whether or not it was needed. Fuck you. Oh my God, fuck you. Please give me the aid. Give me aid. Help people, because I guarantee you there's going to be people who didn't get aid. They're going to look back on this story, or they should at least, and hold that motherfucker accountable.
That won't happen, but you're right. It should.
Am I way off base, Todd?
No, I don't think you're way off base. I just think that when it comes, I mean, I just don't. I don't trust any kind of politician at all. I just don't trust it. And it's like people. I mean, I still have people who are like, oh, you must be I just can't believe Trump. I just wish Hillary was in there. And I was like, I just don't agree with you. Like, Trump's a super douche, but I cannot say that Hillary would be any better.
Do you think Hillary would have given $1 million of her own money?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
yes or no? Do you think she would?
I don't know. I would hope she would. She's as rich as Trump is. But why would she?
Is she?
She's pretty wealthy.
She's pretty wealthy, but I don't know if she's as rich as he is.
Oh,
He's pretty wealthy.
He's pretty wealthy.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that he gave $1 million of his own money. That says something to me. At least he stood up and did something that was non-politician.
Or did he just say it and he hasn't actually done it? Because that's an option too.
You're right.
We shouldn't forget about.
You're right. That's an option too. But if he actually did really give his own money, that's impressive. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
So what do you guys think about the more unpopular side of the opinion where the world just can't sustain this population anymore, and this is just nature?
Hey, listen, you're going to open a fucking can of worms with this guy over here.
Yeah, I've told you about my population theory, right?
Yeah. And then
I don't even think it's a theory. I think it's a fact. It's a fact that we have too many people on the planet.
Yeah.
We can support maybe 1 billion, but we have 8 times that many. 1 billion is like the maximum can probably survive. Not really sure, but that's like.
And that's what you think. That's what you think. That's your opinion.
Is it too sad that we have to think so much about it? Because my lady is like going, God, I would love to have a child with you. Wouldn't that be amazing? And I'm like, yeah, I love you. That would be amazing too. But in the back of my head, I'm going, well, no, I'm too old for that shit anyways. But besides that, I'm still going, God, I've already brought 3 kids into the world. Do I need a 4th? That is in the back of my thinking, whereas in the back of my thinking, I wouldn't even brush my consciousness to think about population control. But something that I can actually do that it affects the world around me is not have so many kids.
I feel like the nature's just gonna, when things get out of balance, nature rebalances itself. It's natural.
Well, and did you hear about the bubonic plague has been
It's got a resurgence in it.
They just got a resurgence in the bubonic fucking plague. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm.
There's also a strain of.
It's good about being unaware of what's going on.
Because it's scary as fuck.
There's a strain of gonorrhea that is now completely resistant to all antibiotics treatments that there's possible right now.
Piss and fire forever.
You'll just rot off and fall off after a while.
What?
And it can actually kill you.
That's crazy. Because the clap is the most common form of VD, right?
Yeah, it's really common. And this particular strain, it just happens and you can't stop it. Just keeps going.
And if anybody knows about sexually transmitted diseases, it's Junior.
It's going to get a bad rap.
Well, from a medical standpoint.
Oh, okay, from the medical standpoint. All right, good point. I'm glad you reminded us of that. Whew. You could have got a really bad reputation.
But I was thinking, I listened to Peter Schiff on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day.
Yeah.
And really, really good podcast. And I was hearing him say things like, our society, back in the day, you didn't have babies if you weren't married. and you didn't get married unless you had a good paying job and you had kind of like your life started, so to speak. And so he was talking more about the personal responsibility of having kids and this, because you do get in situations where people are in a flood and you have your kids to take care of, and it is a tremendous amount of responsibility. But then I started thinking about, okay, so does society need to shift back to like quote unquote more of a traditional way of doing things so that we are more thoughtful about the population?
Junior's like, do not tell me when to fuck.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's my point. You're absolutely right.
Now, later.
The last,
You're absolutely right.
The last thing I want to hear is the government telling me when I can or can't.
Yes, and can you control somebody who wants to have sex? Because you and I have talked in the past.
Yeah,
when
it's called
hit
rape.
when I hit 13, all I could think about was breasts and vaginas. So from 13 to whatever age, you're thinking about that all the time. And so then you're going to try to mitigate that and say, okay, well, you're only going to do these things, or you're going to be smarter about it and use protection. I don't know. But regulating people's responsibility is a really difficult thing to do. And if we're going to control populations and we're going to be more thoughtful about the kids we're raising.
People would just follow the Bible, we wouldn't have all these issues.
No. Be fruitful.
I don't know. I don't know if that would matter or not.
Be fruitful and multiply is in the Bible.
Oh,
Yeah.
God darn it. Oh, whoop. I just used his name in vain.
I think it'll be a mass sterilization. Produced mass sterilization.
Mass sterilization.
Well, that's what Todd thinks. Or I'm sorry, that's what Matt thinks would
That's
be
what,
the
yeah.
best.
I actually think that might be like the coolest graduation present for my sons. Is like, hey, listen, we're going to go down to the clinic. You're going to donate like a gallon because you're a teenager and you could probably do that.
Yeah.
Just spend all day down there, right? You got a really healthy supply of stuff going on. It's frozen. I mean, let's put some money and some technology into it so there's some certainty, right? Then the boys get snipped. That's it.
It's not a bad idea.
Now, go off to college. You don't have to worry about accidentally getting your girlfriend pregnant because Lord knows there's nothing I can say, do, express. I could buy them sex dolls. They're still going to get somebody pregnant.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're me, who has never been fertile. That's right, ladies. It's pretty hot when I bring it up like that, right? Which has actually been one of those things I've never had to stress about. I've never had to stress about it, ever. I can't imagine being Todd, where he walks by a woman and she just gets pregnant looking at him.
It's true.
You're very fertile, young man.
And all boys.
Sandborns are fertile. It's true.
That's
Not me.
boink, boink. Yeah, like you have superhero sperm.
Well, it did take 2 vasectomies to make it work. So that is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
In a way.
So anyway,
Still painful.
The idea is you give your donation, you get sterilized, snipped. Your equipment still works. You're still producing hormones. You just can't get anybody pregnant.
You're still producing even ejaculate.
Yeah, so it
Just- you're
still
just
feels
missing-
good. Right, Todd?
Yes, it does.
Still feels good?
Still feels
It
good.
feels great.
It's 100%.
It's not 100%. There's stuff missing.
No, I mean, the feeling is
Yes,
100%.
the feeling is 100%.
The feeling is 100%.
Yeah.
110.
Right?
Yeah, 110.
110.
More than
goddamn
it needs to be.
Especially when I put that special lube on.
Ew.
Anyway.
Yuck.
Anyway.
You're so gross.
But then you go out, and when you are at a place in your life, and you're like, you know what? I think I'd be a pretty good dad. I think I'm at a good place to raise kids. Because you shouldn't be so deluded and selfish as to go, you know what? Fuck you. I can totally make it as a single dad. I can totally make it as a single mom. Goddamn right. Because we do that. We empower women. We're like, you know what? No shame on you. Girl power. You can do it by yourself. Sure, you could.
Or men
Is it
too.
gonna be really fucking hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's really hard having 2 parents, right?
Manage
And it's
one
really
child,
hard to
yeah.
have 2 parents in the same household still. So if you're not 100% sure, and if you don't have a lockdown relationship to where you're gonna be with somebody and you both decided to have kids,
Even then, you usually don't know what you're getting into.
you
I've
still
heard that a
don't.
bunch of times before.
Ball and chain. I said it right to my wife's face earlier, right? You had made the comment, I am thinking about moving around and seeing the world a little bit and trying some different things. And I said, now's the time to do it because you're not locked down. And it's not in a negative fashion. It actually is. Fuck it. It's in a negative fashion because you're trapped. And it is a decent trap to be in because you have responsibilities. You want to be a good dad. You want to raise your kids. You want to be there for them. Blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But when you take on that role, there are some options that are gone for fucking ever. Unless you're going to take opportunities, you're going to take a hold of those opportunities, then you're going to be one of those deadbeat dads. You're going to be one of those fucking losers who doesn't spend enough time with your kids, or you're going to be having an orgy somewhere because that was something you haven't had yet. And you're like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. I'm going to go have an orgy.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. Right?
I have not.
We've all been there, Todd.
No.
Don't say you haven't been
We've
there.
all been there.
I don't want to hear that.
Not me, but we've all been
But I do think that idea is a reasonable one, and it sounds harsh, but I think it's reasonable.
It's
There you
getting
go.
more reasonable. I mean, it's getting more. It makes. I mean, you have had this population control theory
Yeah.
for 20 years. As long as I've known you, 25 years now.
Yeah,
The hard
You've
part-
had this way of thinking, but now it's becoming more. I'm sitting here going, it's not crazy anymore because we are getting overpopulated.
The only issue with so your population control theory is we need to reduce the population to make the Earth sustainable. Is that your idea?
Yeah, because I think that every problem that we have in the whole world, every single fucking problem, whether it's plastic in the ocean or pollution or rape or crime of any kind, it's the fact that we have too many people
Too closely together.
packed together. I mean, we have factory farms that a ton of people are going all organic, right? But the reason why we have the situation we have is because there's these. I want to walk into Hy-Vee grocery store, and I demand that there's chicken there every day. Every day I want fresh chicken, and if
That's not there, you're not going to shop there anymore.
we all expect it, we just all expect that there's what we want there all the time. Arby's, Chick-fil-A, wherever, McDonald's. We expect there to be food there 24/7. And in order for that to happen, we have to have factory
Mass
farms.
producing.
We have to mass produce shit. And we were talking, Todd, yesterday about how we've taken things that are organic and good for us, and we've bastardized them. We've ruined it because once it becomes known and once it becomes popular, now you're like clearing out rainforest to plant quinoa. Right? Because millions of people now think, oh my God, quinoa
It's
is
the new American fad. 100 million people want it.
Yeah. So now we've taken something that would have been great, and maybe everybody should have had it in their diet, but we can't possibly destroy everything else just to give us quinoa.
Or corporations stepped in and said, let's just mass plant this stuff. Local farmers who were doing really well by having quinoa, because that's what they grew, were doing well because this was demand was going up, and then somebody's like, "Oh, there's the demand. I'm going to go in there and rake this in as well," and then it dropped the prices and ruined a lot of independent farmers for it. You know,
the hard part when it comes to I agree with your population control theory. At its basis, obviously, we need to reduce the population. It's just overpacked. We're using up too much resources. It's just not sustainable. But at the same time, I think that's only part of the issue where there's a basic flaw in humanity, as far as I don't know if it's correctable or not. But we have a disconnect not only from nature but from each other. The only reason that murder, rape, war are possible is because I don't treat you like a brother and you don't treat me like one, and we don't feel each other's feelings, stuff like that. The only reason you can ever rape anyone, which is one of the most horrible crimes I think you can commit towards another person, is because you don't think of them as equal to yourself and you don't understand them the way that you should. And even when the population of the earth was much lower than it is today, we still had war, still had rape, still had murder. I mean, it was still a thing. I think it's more of we can correct one of the big issues, which is overpopulation, but we're also going to miss the giant issue of humans' disconnection from nature and then also from one another. But I think it's the same thing.
So do you feel like we are more disconnected now because of technology, or do you feel like are we less connected or more connected? Because I can have a podcast with somebody from fucking Australia today, or I can reach out to thousands of people on this podcast. So I feel more connected, but at the same time, I'm not upstairs chilling out and hanging out with my family.
It's we've taken quantity over quality. So you can connect with 1 million people, but you're not going to make the same kind of basic, really deep down connection that you'd make with maybe your wife when you went and talked upstairs. You know, when you one-on-one with somebody, it's a very deep connection. Or maybe you'll make that connection with 1 million people, but we've chosen quality or quantity over quality with all things over the entire board in all of the human existence that we have now.
Well, think about like Christmas parties back in the day. You know, a bunch of friends would get together, and I'd be like, well, everybody wears a dumb sweater, or they all have drinks and have a good time. They hadn't seen each other.
There's photocopy machine incidents.
I was just thinking more of like a neighborhood
magic markers.
Magic markers.
People getting written on. I think that was like something people look forward to. Like, oh, I get to reconnect with so and so. We haven't seen them for a while, or so and so's coming into town. They're going to come. We can all see each other. Now you can, without connecting with anybody in any substance kind of way, you can just go through Facebook and just scroll and scroll and scroll and just go, oh, I know what they're doing. Oh, I know what they're doing. And you're not making any connections at all. And so I've seen people at work where I'm like, hey, I saw that thing you did, and that was really awesome. I never, ever fucking talked to you, but I feel like I know you because I see you on Facebook. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I feel like I know you pretty well, and yet I've never had a really good conversation with you. You know, and that's a weird feeling. Maybe it's not as weird for people who grew up more in that, but having grown up as the internet became popular and social media became popular.
You've seen what it was before, during, and after.
I think what I'm trying to do is agree with Junior is that those connections are missing because we've let something else be the conduit for us. So instead of you and I, why do we like doing this so much? Because we fucking hang out together, we laugh, we joke around, we have that connection. If you and I were doing this via Skype, even in a podcast, it would not be the same.
Yeah, it's a different feeling for sure.
It'd be totally different. So,
something we talked about yesterday. Now, Junior, I'll ask you if you agree or disagree with this. Take any situation that you choose to do. Okay. No one's making you do it. You don't have to do it for money, right? It's your day off. You're sitting at home. You're choosing to do something. Now, if you were choosing to shoot heroin in your arms all day, every day, any spare moment that you had, you were choosing to do drugs, what would they call you?
Addicted to heroin, an addict.
Yeah.
A junkie.
If I chose to jerk off or to have sex all the time, any spare moment, what would they call me?
Addict. Sex addict.
Right. Now, what about all these wives?
I feel like I've been leading into
what about all these what about all these wives and husbands? Not just wives, but there's a lot of women who get addicted to this, I think. What would you call somebody who scrolls through Facebook for hours and hours and hours every single day?
It's a social addiction.
A social addiction.
Well, but see, it's the same thing as when you went down to the barbershop and you were getting your hair done, with your girls or guys too, and you go and you say, oh, and they're like, did you see what, Terry had in her hair today?
Because that's interaction. That's you and a couple of people like actually sharing body language and emotions and interactions.
Very shallow, but it is connection, I guess.
Right.
It's not. It can't be near as shallow as Facebook. Do you know what I mean? Granted, it's a shallow, just kind of simple interaction, but it's 10 times better than fucking Facebook.
But I still think that it's an addiction. I still think that any time that you are choosing, even this, if I was choosing to do this constantly, like nonstop, all the time on my days off, and I was taking time away from my family and kids, people would say, "Hey, man, you got a problem.
Yeah,
you're really addicted to this," and I see it. Like you're calling off work to do this.
Yeah. Hey, people who go to the gym all the time, right?
Gym rats.
It's good.
Right?
It's a good thing, right? You're getting healthy. You're working out. But when it starts taking away from things that matter, that's when it becomes an unhealthy addiction.
And my kids, my kids' counselors are like, you have got to mitigate the electronics. And they're not talking like, hey, make sure they have their phone someplace. It's like phone, iPad, TV, Xbox, everything that has a screen on it. They're like, you have got to mitigate it. And then, of course, it's hard for me because I'm like, back in the day, I'm like, hey, don't watch so much TV and don't be too close to the screen, or that cartoon's gonna, cause you problems, or Bugs Bunny is, too violent. I mean, I remember those conversations that made it seem stupid. But now they're saying, and I only know this is because my second oldest, he has a down moment. His fucking phone's in his face. I mean, he cannot not have his phone in his face. And I'm telling you, he says, hey, do you want to go do this? And I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that right now. Oh, God, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you have to have something else that you can do besides fucking your phone or nothing. It's like, it's their phone and tennis and that's it. How about it's a phone and you can read a magazine, you could draw, you could play Legos, you can go outside and run. I mean, either I've done a bad job of presenting all the options.
Sure.
Or he just can't see past that, which to me sounds like an addiction.
Well, it's when you're born into, like you said, when you're born into that culture, I think that phones take away your possibilities. It takes away your ideas of imagination. Because I remember when I was a kid, I'd go do I was a single kid, right? So it was just me. And so I'd have to play on my own a lot and go find stuff to do. So you go throw a ball on the roof, and then the ball rolls back down.
Yeah,
and you catch
fuck yeah, I did that shit.
Yeah,
sure.
And then you climb a tree, grab a stick, throw it at the tree, try and stick it in the tree somehow. It's just
climb trees, make forts, dude.
It's a stupid shit, but it's stuff that helped you imagine and develop as a person. And then you start making friends in the neighborhood, and then you guys go out and you crash your bikes together, and you do all kinds of crazy stuff, and you get in trouble. And it's all about social connections, and that's the most important thing to develop when you're a kid, is making those connections. And so
connections and imagination.
And imagination is really important
because we're force feeding imagination. We're force feeding.
Well, they're force feeding someone else's imagination onto a kid.
Right. Exactly.
When you're not developing your own.
Except for maybe Minecraft. Minecraft is pretty amazing. Minecraft.
I've gotten addicted to Minecraft. It's just so much fun. It's so you can play it for hours.
You are being creative there. Yeah. So,
but there's an avenue though. I mean, you still have to remember that you're forced within a certain amount of criterion to develop and to be creative in a space that someone else developed for you. So it's not pure creation or imagination, but it's still pretty good. I liked it.
It's better. There's going to be different levels of all that kind of stuff, I would think.
So let's get to something a little bit more lighthearted. All right. This is our stupid segment.
This is the humping.
This is the humping, yeah.
All right.
This is our stupid segment. So male lions photographed attempting to mate at wildlife park. And now I think this is one, it was clickbait.
101.7
thousand shares. Yeah. I think there's a little. Let's look at this.
We need distractions as human beings. That's all.
We do. Now, Todd, which one are you? I'm just saying.
I hate to say it, but I'm probably on the bottom.
You're probably looking like you got a pained,
eyes half closed,
look on your face,
enjoying myself a little bit. Yeah.
I feel like I'm the female in the background, just kind of.
Nobody look. Nobody look over there. Nobody look over there.
Listen, don't look. Don't look.
Come on, guys. I'm just chilling out, trying to sun myself.
Can't you go in the bushes, for God's sake?
I swear to God, Peter, you better clean that off before you try to put that in me.
Ew.
I'm just saying, if you're going to keep it on the down low, keep it on the down low.
One step too far.
Now, I would like to assume that I would be the one on top, but there's never a good O face, is there? Clearly in this picture, there's never. It's a comical one. He's got his tongue out.
Like I said, we've all been there.
We've all been there.
Can it really feel this good?
Yes, it can.
Oh,
tongue dragging.
Speaking of this feeling really good, so we talked about the stupid with the lions fucking. Let's talk about the scary. Let's look at the scary stuff here, and that would be number 7 here. Let's see if that works. I don't know what's up. I really do have to like hardwire this shit because, or put in new batteries because it's not transitioning well.
We don't blame
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, cargo ship crosses the Arctic without aid of icebreaker for the first time ever.
And so disclaimer is that it does have a front end to it that allows it to break some ice, but it was never strong enough to do it by itself before.
Right.
It's kind of a big deal.
Is this a scary thing? Junior? Should we be concerned
know
about
what?
this?
Why? I don't. Maybe I'm just getting too fucking old. Because I'm getting to the point
Who
where
gives
I
a fuck?
just don't fucking care. If we are, I'm gonna keep trying to do the best I can. Okay, for the environment, for my kids, for my family, for my community.
Okay.
Outside of that, I can't fucking control this stuff. And so I am not going to sit around here and pine away and just wring my hands waiting for destruction. I'm going to try to do the best job I can while I'm alive on the planet. And if it goes to shit, then it goes to shit. And I don't like Michael Moore, but he was one of those guys that was talking about Cheney and Bush being, the devil. And he said something like, hey, you know what? Whatever they fucking do, I can't control it. And the Earth's going to take care of itself eventually. If it wipes us all out and starts over, hey, that's what's going to happen. I can't control that. And I am getting to the point where it becomes so exhausting to argue about these things with people, whether it's politics or, listen to my dad endlessly talk about electric cars and those kind of things where I'm just like going, this is fucking exhausting. Can I read a book? Can I hang out with my lady?
I want to be distracted.
Can I sit with my family and enjoy them instead of worrying and talking about all this shit all the time? It's just a waste of energy. Is that like me not caring enough about?
No, I think that a lot of people feel the exact same way with politics.
Sure.
And that's why people are like, I don't want to talk about religion. I want to talk about politics. You're
Never
never going to
change
convince
any of it.
anybody about religion because there's no proof either fucking way.
Right. Everybody takes their
you're like, well,
sides.
hey, you got to have faith.
If I go to work tomorrow and I say, hey, did you hear that Trump gave $1 million of his own money? I fucking hate Trump. I think he's horrible. But if I were to say one thing positive, people are going to say, oh, you like Trump now, huh? Oh, he did this, this, and this. I'm like, I can say the douchebag did a good thing. That's totally fine.
Yeah. I've been known to do good things.
Yes.
Still a douchebag.
See, it's all taking sides. It's all like getting behind something, And my dad was saying things like, what about your kids? What about this world left over for your kids? And I'm just like, what am I going to do? I can try. I'll go out and buy a Volt if I can afford it someday. But I don't know if that's going to change the face of the planet somehow. Maybe in the long run. And maybe I'm being too short-sighted. I don't know. I'm just like thinking I'm going to raise my kids to do the best job they can do. So when I'm gone, they're perpetuating, hopefully, parts of what I think are important. But outside of that, I don't have any control of this shit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I don't feel doomsday about it. I don't feel, shitty about it. I'm just kind of like going, I want to live my life to the fullest while I'm here. If all I do is sit around and worry about stuff, that's not living my life to the fullest. It's not benefiting my family. It's not benefiting my community. I can think things out. I can try to recycle. I can try to do the things that I can do on my end to do the best job I can to help the planet. But outside of that, there are fucking people in China and India and that don't follow anything that we do and are destroying the environment faster than we are, for sure. Even with fracking and all that other stuff. So I just am not sure. And I can't do anything about that. So I'm going to sit here and go, oh, God, China, what am I going to do? Oh, shit.
Do you think it's almost like a flood? Right? It's almost like a flood happening. I'm going to be here, whether I'm in Texas or I'm over in Indonesia. I'm standing here, and this flood water is happening all around me. There's this damage. There's this devastation happening all around me. I can't remove this water. It's just going to happen.
Right.
And I have no power over it.
And I know that he might go and help, so that makes me feel good. Hey, my child is going down to help people if they can. So
sure.
I have to live vicariously through some of those things because otherwise you don't. It seems
helping
hopeless.
people you can do. Preventing a flood from happening, you can't do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right.
Totally.
It's just one of those.
And I'm not trying to skirt
disasters.
my
responsibility
as a human being on this planet. But at some point, I feel, and I'm not throwing my hands up completely. I'm just saying that for me to be really happy, it's me enjoying my family and my friends. If me wringing my hands about a plethora of issues keeps me from doing those things, then I'm not living my life to the fullest. And
right.
I just don't agree with that very much.
I'm going to quote the late, great Van Wilder.
Whoa. Ooh, dropping some knowledge that I have no idea what he's going to say.
Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. It's the same idea. But the actual the idea to it is that you can spend your whole life worrying. Now, let's say that because I don't worry about that stuff at all. I'm probably more one-sided than he is about it. But
I've raised you well.
If they said tomorrow, if they said you worry every day of your life for the rest of your life about this stuff, and you just spend all your time worrying, and it'll change something and it'll fix everything, I'd be like, okay, I'll do it then. But me worrying about not only does it hurt me, but it doesn't help anybody else. Now, if I can help someone, I'll go do that. If me, being more conscientious will help other people, then I'll do it. Because I mean, I try and be the best person I can be. But me sitting here worrying and going, it's really looking bad, and this environment's looking bad, and I don't know about that, doesn't do anything for anybody.
Right.
It makes me more stressed, gives me tension, makes my life less enjoyable, makes the people around me, their lives less enjoyable because they always hear about me bitching all the time.
Right.
And then it doesn't help the environment. So.
Well, here's the good news. The silver lining to this boat not having to use an icebreaker. In the next 50 years, they won't have to use anything like that, and people are just going to be able to sail really quickly back and forth through that area which was unsaleable before.
And then we'll have just little pockets of land.
It's going to be Water World. It's going to be Water World, and I'm going to be Kevin.
Really?
What's his name?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Or
if
are
I
you
could
gonna
have
be the villain?
fins. No, I'm not going to be the villain with the thing. Thanks, though. Thanks, Junior.
I still think isn't that still the epitome of a movie that was like, that's the ultimate flop, wasn't it? Isn't Waterworld still the ultimate flop?
It's considered one of the worst ones because
it was so expensive
and it didn't do anything.
And it had good actors. It had Kevin Costner, who was the bad guy. It was he was an Easy Rider. I mean, he was a really famous.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either. But so it had legit people in it too.
Sure.
And I think the beginning of it, I thought it was good until the Wave Riders came out, like the battle. It was trying to make like Mad Max on the water, kind of.
Yeah.
But then when you're riding around in Wave Riders on the ocean, it still looks silly, even if they look like they're badass and they're covered with metal and barbed wire and stuff.
You can't have
Wave Rider.
It's Road Warrior on. It was Road Warrior on water.
Right. I mean, going down to the surface of the planet and that was cool. I thought his boat was neat. Some of those things I thought were kind of cool. Then it just got so hokey so fast,
Yeah.
But I've still watched it.
I like the Postman.
Yeah, Postman was good.
I thought the Postman was
never
really
saw
good.
the Postman, and we still haven't seen the Dark Tower.
And that was out. I almost went and saw it last night.
We were gonna go see it, and
but instead I
totally
saw
forgot.
Annabelle.
Forgot about it.
I went and saw Annabelle.
Heard it was
Creation. Good. It's fucking scary. It's really scary. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. This is amazing stuff. Now, amazing stuff. This is what I like about it.
Your technology? Oh.
There, yeah, I like technology. This, over 350 new species discovered in the Amazon rainforest. It's a reminder that we don't have it all figured out. We haven't seen it all. There are still mysteries in this world. And that thing right there, that pink, it's called a pink bottlenose dolphin, something like that, fresh river water dolphin.
Porpoise, probably.
Even though it's like, yeah, fuck it, it's a dolphin, whatever. We could still find like mythical type of creatures and blow our fucking minds. That thing right there is an alien. It's an alien. Can we talk to it? My dog is a goddamn alien. In fact, my kid called my dog an alien today. I'm like, that's exactly right. We take these creatures for granted, but we know that they can communicate. We know that when we're walking our dogs around and those dogs are sniffing the fucking grass or the trees or the fire hydrants, it's like email, right? It's like they're communicating somehow through smell, figuring out what other dogs are in their area. There's something going on there, but we can't communicate with our fucking dogs.
That system.
Right. So these things that live in our forests or rainforests and in our oceans. Man, they are true. They are like aliens.
Yeah, and it's so intriguing. And and those kind of things do shock me a little bit because we just don't know enough. But then to think too that we're still just fucking clear cutting like crazy down there. So it makes me wonder about how many things have come and gone and we didn't even know that they were there.
Right.
It's kind of scary. Right. And I'm not trying to think of anything that's like a miracle drug and shit like that. I think just a cool spider that was in only one section of that rainforest. That's where it had been for eons. Because it just worked perfectly in the ecosystem, and now that ecosystem's gone, and we didn't even see it. It's kind of crazy to think that.
Cool about the whole concept is that you have the ocean, which we've explored like 3% of.
Right.
Like we have no idea what's in the ocean. You have the places like the Amazon, where it's really hard to get in there, so people haven't explored those an entire ton, and there's a lot of things that can be hidden and whatnot. Well, I heard the story about the panda, so I was watching this video about how Bigfoot could actually be real.
Sure.
And it was actually really great. It was a great video. They had really good arguments. But one of the arguments for it was that the panda, which we take for granted now, was a mythical creature at one point in China. Where
Right.
the
And
people didn't know it
It was
existed.
mythical even in the early 1900s, right?
Yeah, it's the early 1900s where they finally discovered it and said, "Oh, it's actually real. Holy crap!" And what happened was it was so hard to get in that dense foliage in the back of China, and they're so proficient at hiding themselves that no one had ever seen one alive. And they'd caught like one dead one, and then eventually, it rotted or whatnot. And the hard part about that section of rainforest was that when these things would die, they'd rot so fast, and the bones would break down so fast, they couldn't find any records.
Right.
And they said that's what's hard about, the people are always like, well, if there's a Bigfoot, where's the bones? And it's like, well, when something dies in these woods like that, the bones don't stay around for a long time. They break down. It takes
Right.
maybe a
And
month.
I think Joe Rogan talked about
Yeah,
how
it
you
takes
go
a
up into
very
the
special-
northwest part of the country, the forest is so dense that you get 100 yards into it off a road and you're fucking lost.
You
Yeah.
turn around, you're like, where the fuck's the road?
Right. Yeah, and that was with him going, well, maybe there is a possibility because you can get lost up here in a second. So maybe it wouldn't be too difficult for a creature like Bigfoot to be around. But I still think the bandwagon had the greatest comment ever, which was chemtrails are the gateway drug to conspiracies. And Bigfoot is right up there with me. I just think it's a huge, funny conspiracy. Everybody thinks that they're hiding it and it really is real and the government's keeping it from
What's so
us.
funny
And
is that fluoride in the water was a conspiracy theory for a long time.
But it's true.
It's in there.
it's true.
Yeah, but it is true.
And the fact that it doesn't help your teeth at all, it doesn't do anything for you medically. That no
But
positives.
somebody
or
is
So let
somebody's
me ask
making
you-
a lot of money
Yeah, well,
selling
let
fluoride
me
to
ask you
cities.
this.
you know.
Why would it still be even offered? Why would it still even be offered by dentists if we weren't supposed to be able to use it?
Yeah.
I'm wondering because I just took my kids to the dentist
They put
a
fluoride.
couple
yeah.
months ago and they're like, "Oh, do you want the fluoride treatment?" I'm like, I don't know, am I a bad father if I say no? I just told my kid he's not a nigger. Oh God, what am I supposed to do?
It's
I'm
been a long
I'm
week.
gonna double down.
It's been
Yeah,
a
it's been a
long
long
week.
week. We've all been there. We all know what we're talking about. Yeah, go ahead and do the fluoride thing. I think I'm supposed to do that, right? If it's as bad as they say it is.
And then think if you're a mayor of a city. Should we put fluoride in the water? Make sure my whole city doesn't have fluoride.
Well, then you got to think of the perception. What are people going to say? Oh, this mayor said don't put fluoride in water. He wants all our teeth to rot out. He doesn't care about our kids' health. Yada yada yada. When
Right.
it's all about disinformation and political bullshit.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, I agree too.
The hard part about that too, though, for you is, there are very good doctors in the world, and there's not so great doctors. And some doctors want to make money, and some doctors want to help people. And the hard part about it is,
You're going the wrong way. Oh my gosh. What time was that?
146.
146.
All right. That is the show, my friend.
Oh, we got to get
gotta
going.
cancel it out.
Yeah, he's got to get.
All right,
He's just
man.
planning to go home and do his job.
All right, one last thing I want people to kind of check out. Don't be careful how you do household renovations. This guy found a secret underground lair, and it's so fucking badass
It's awesome.
that it's literally like that.
Oh god, that's
Look at these
neat.
shots. It's literally like so fucking awesome. That would be the most amazing.
Well, and
playground
you keep saying
ever.
things like, "Imagine if your kids found this." I was like, "Imagine if we got to go in there as adults. I'd have a great time.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
It'd be
Yeah,
sweet."
it would be awesome. It would be awesome. Hey, Junior, thank you so much for doing this. I love seeing you every time you come into town. And I mean, the podcast for me is, it really is. It's like a documentary of my life and how we think and what's going on in the world today, and being able to see you grow up and 3-4 years ago. I mean, before you went into the service, we did that podcast. So it's really unique. It's an awesome way for people who are getting to know you to see who were you, 4 years ago, for us to look back and see how you've grown. And it's I'm very proud of you.
It's pretty
Thank you.
awesome.
I think you're a pretty awesome young man. So I love seeing you. Thank you for being there. Todd, are we going to do this again?
Yes.
Wow, very quick. Very quick answer from Todd.
This is my outlet. I love it. I
This is
missed
your
it
outlet.
desperately.
Are things going bad with your relationship? Because when things are going bad, you start doing podcasts a lot.
Oh no, things are going better than ever, which allows me the freedom to think about. Oh, I want to start doing
Aw.
this again.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
very sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right. Well, that is it for the Primal Scream tonight. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we get some really great comments about coconut.
I can't wait.
Cocoa nuts in my bunghole. All right. See you later.
Is that your outro? That's not
Was that the outro?
Yeah, we gotta do it.
We'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night. Bye, Todd. Bye. See,
Bye,
my
Matt.
thing's not working very
Bye,
well.
Matt. You're the man.